One question I have, what are the weaknesses of ASPICE 4.0 with respect to, especially with respect to the SYS2, that is System Requirement Analysis?
Okay, I mean, maybe I'll start and I would let you guys jump in or add on something on top. Especially with respect to ASPICE 4.0, I mean, there were a lot of expectations with respect to, how would it clear up some of the confusions which were already, the project teams or the assessor faced when it comes to ASPICE 3.1, right? So I think some of them have been cleared, like the verification criteria, which was available as a separate base practice in the past, which have been removed now, which is good, but implicitly added into, let's say, BP1. Sure, not a separate base practice. We can live with that. Apart from that, I always felt that the standard itself is not well described, in the sense I'm not expecting a standard to be too specific. Of course, then we cannot call it as a standard, which is understood. However, even when we define a standard, there has to be some context given, like what is expected. Where exactly we see this problem, especially with respect to BP4. Yeah, now there is a modification. You can see that BP4 analyzes the impact on the operating environment, which was there in the past. Now BP4 is analyze the impact on the system context, yeah, which has been modified a bit. What was challenging in the past? Even though this, base practices was, let's say, available from a long time, because ASPICE 3.1 has been used in the, running project from quite a long time. I think most of the project teams were not clearly aware what to do for this, how to satisfy this particular base practice. I wouldn't say it is always the problem only with the project teams. Sometimes even assessors were also not sure. This is our personal experience. In some cases, assessors expected some kind of a review, which has been done, where we, let's say, do kind of a review to identify, okay, is there an impact on the memory because of this requirement? Is there impact on, I think, the bus load or something like this when it comes to the operating system, operating environment? And in some cases, something else was expected. It was not really clear. That's the problem with the standard. Now, if you see the ASPICE 4.0, I think it's been made worse. Because if at all you look at this particular version, of course, you cannot explain too many things in a base practice. So that's where the notes come in handy, right? You write something in the base practice, and in the notes you say this could be some of the examples. And if you see BP4, it has got no notes at all. Yeah. So which means now people are going to pursue based on their experience. It's as simple as that. And especially there is a bigger challenge when it comes to assessment, provided an assessor has not worked on this particular, let's say, process on his own. If at all he never worked as a system engineer, it is very difficult to convince them, or let's say defend this particular BP4, because they can expect anything when it comes to analyze the impact on the system context. What does that mean? I mean, even if you go through the description of the BP4, analyze the impact that the system requirement will have on elements in the relevant system context. What does that even mean? There is no notes at all whatsoever. And I think this is really not ideal. And I think this kind of a thing should have been corrected in ASPICE 4.0. We had so much of time. We definitely could have done much more better. That's my takeaway when it comes to what is not so good in the new version of the standard.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The reason being that, impact on the operating environment previously when it was 3.1, it is clear, very unclear. I mean, even if we see 3.1, there were no notes on BP4 for analyze the impact on operating environment. Right, of course, it did give a couple of extra sentences saying that you check for the interfaces and the operating environment, or maybe the other elements in the operating environment. But what exactly are you looking for is a biggest question. Now, uh, if you are a project team member, when you're trying to do something, you obviously have this question, okay, how would I evaluate this. When you're talking about bus load, what would be my bus load? I will only get to know the bus load once I get to probably the architecture, or maybe in some cases after I implement. But you are trying to do this at the requirement stage. Sure, the whole thing is a iterative approach, but how would you check the impact at this level? If it is a let's say legacy product, sure, you would be doing it based on the experience. Otherwise, I think it would be a good let's say help to the project team members if we as a spice or the Intex group itself has some guidelines or some kind of help text on what could be this system context, what could be the how what are the ways to you can check the impact on the system context, which again implicitly also kind of bring us to the BP6 topic in 4.0, which is communicate agreed system requirements and impact on the system context, right? So the BP6 just says that communicate the results of the impact analysis that is done to all the relevant stakeholders. Maybe some note would have been helpful over there as well.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of a thing should have been covered. That's my opinion, or at least VDA guideline should address this kind of a thing. I don't know if VDA guideline really addresses this particular part. But the challenge is really to the project teams, yeah, because it's not fun working as a part of the project team and trying to defend an assessment, because we have seen in the past two different assessors from the same organization can rate a same evidence in a two different way. We have seen it in the past. Now, if the assessors are from two different companies, forget about it. We can't really expect them to rate in the same way. I at least expect, okay, within the same company, they should have some kind of a mechanism where they, let's say, talk to each other and come to a conclusion that, okay, this kind of evidences are sufficient and we rate this way. But we have seen, difference there. And the project teams cannot really work based on somebody's perspective. That's not possible, because you cannot really think about how would somebody perceive this evidence. That's not it's going to work. Yeah, then it is not a standard. So this is where I see definitely a challenge here. I mean, sure, they have kept it, they have modified a bit, but there should have been definitely more information, like what is being expected, or at least minimally what should be covered. Okay, sure, systems are not going to be same, there will be difference, then what do you analyze will also differ, but you cannot keep it like open and give a chance to a lot of speculation here. Okay, this could also be done, that could also be done, because there so many things you can do, but at least the minimum basic criteria should have been mentioned. That's my feeling when it comes to BP4.